Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, the 28th day of March, 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones, and we are going to be live here for the next 3 hours. And what I want to do is shake the broadcast up. Not that it's already not really morphing into something more and more effective every day. I really do, and you know this, always want to try to sometimes take a lot of phone calls in the first hour instead of just ranting and covering the first few news stories in the first hour. I want to try to take a lot of phone calls from first-time callers concerning the state of the world, how crazy it's gotten, that so many people are waking up while so many others are basically going into their own mind control zone. And we've got to have an awakening that rises above the robot class, as Billy Corrigan has put it. And it really does come down to that. And all of us have to shake ourselves out of our trance. And what am I talking about? Just out of our routine. I was on Billy Corrigan's friend's Man Cow show today. And, of course, he's my friend as well. And he was talking about Billy Corrigan and the cover of the local newspaper saying, Billy Corrigan, Billy Pulpit, rise above the robot class, something he said in an interview we did last week. And he was going into the point that so many people are unconscious. And even before we were on break, coming back to his TV show that's also a simulcast of his radio show, syndicated radio show, he was having to even tell his crew, all right, stop looking at your iPhones. Stop texting. Get out of your trance. Let's focus. And everybody I talk to who's in management of media or anything else, you have to do this now. You have to keep your children away from the phones and the texting. You have to. People think they're living through this stuff, and what you're doing is you're dying. And that was a quote that Mancow said today that I am obviously not plagiarizing, stealing. I'm going to be using that term because you're not living in the matrix, you're dying. If you use an iPhone to videotape yourself exposing tyranny and put it on YouTube, if you use it to really talk about something important, then it's a tool to fight corruption, but it still has Trojan horses to track, trace, and control you and spy on you and know your innermost secrets. Not just your shoe size, but what movies you like and what your sexual preferences are and what type of food you're going to eat and where you're going. And then they can predict where you're going to go before you're going to go there. We're talking about the end of humanity and not the rise of some new cybernetic life form that we merge with, but the rise of a nightmare. And, of course, our story is linked up at drudgereport.com. It's down on the lower right-hand corner, robo-reporters to replace mainstream journalists. I talked some about this yesterday. I want to get deeper into that today. There's also another story, Jim Carrey backlash on eBay for his anti-gun video mysteriously disappears. Oh, yeah, they won't, I guess, let you do that there. And then, of course, another article on the right-hand side of drudgereport.com. Big Sis ignores congressman's demand for briefing on bullet buys. That's an example of the success that we're starting to have through the alternative and real media. It's just really not even alternative. We are the real media. We are the true diverse media. We are the real liberal media. Liberal meaning liberty and freedom and private property, Second Amendment, due process, right to life. That's liberty. Right to life, liberty, and happiness. We are now able to force out and call out the man behind the curtain. And I told you months ago, and I told you a few weeks ago, we're now forcing this bullet story out into the open big time. ProPure is introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. This is the Pro One by ProPure. You wanted it, you got it. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It cuts out the acid derivative of fluoride. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. This is a revolution against the tyrants. They love putting the toxic acid base of fluoride into your water. They love the fact that it's an adjuvant supercharging the trace Prozac in the water and the hormones and the other chemicals. By cutting out fluoride, you cut out the turbocharger in all the poison being artificially introduced into your body. This is what I use. It's a win-win. You get a high-quality product at the lowest price. You support the InfoWar. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro 1 filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. And we're not going to have any guests today because I want to open the phones up and take a giant amount of phone calls and cover a huge amount of just vitally important news and information. Have you thought about what freedom is? Have you thought about what your goals in life are? Are your goals just to satiate bestial, animal drives? Or are your goals something greater? Because though animal drives certainly satisfy you at a base plateau, to reach higher and to truly be fulfilled, you need to think about the big issues and be engaged in the world. And down that path leads enlightenment, wisdom, sanity, dignity, prosperity. I want free will, and I want to control my own destiny. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I want to be honorable. I want to be good. I want to be pure. My rudder is consciously and spiritually pointed at the North Star, the pole star of God's justice. My flesh is weak. The spirit is willing, but my flesh is weak. But I want to be a good person, and I want to uplift humanity, and I want veritas. I want truth. And that's why the power structure, who knows who I am, and they know who you are. You've been in a technocracy. I've been in a technocracy. We've been born into it, most of us, for a long time. They know those of us that are true. They know those of us that have hearts. They know those of us that want justice. And so they use false systems of liberalism to guilt us into submitting to them and to following their templates of control. They want to program us. They want to run our lives. They want to use race and religion and socioeconomic and buzzwords to sit there and punch our buttons like we were a biological android. They seek to steal our free will because it empowers them to be able to shape our world and to use us as their engines of control, to have us pay for and enforce and build our own mega prison. And that's why, I was reading a headline in the Chicago Sun-Times, and there was a bunch of other mainstream news articles, dinosaur media articles, with headlines like, Billy Corrigan's strange infatuation with a conspiracy theorist. They didn't say with a fellow human. They didn't say with the truth. They didn't say with a phenomenon in political thought. They said, in every headline, there was 3 of them out there I saw, they said, conspiracy theorist as a way to denigrate a fellow human's ideas and to also ridicule Billy Corrigan as if he came to speak to me because he has an infatuation. He came to speak to me. And I don't admire somebody like Billy Corrigan because he's a famous rock star that sold 35, 40 million records and made hundreds of millions of dollars, even though I like a lot of his music, love a lot of his music. I admire him because he's really down to earth, has a very small ego, is extremely smart, and didn't come here to talk to Alex Jones. He came here to talk to you, to try to get you outside the box so that we can have a future together. And then they flippantly say his infatuation with a conspiracy theorist in an attempt to demonize Billy Corrigan for coming to see the bad man, Alex Jones. I mean, think about what that is when they say you're a conspiracy theorist because you don't believe certified known liars caught lying hundreds of thousands of times. I mean, the lies are, they tell lies when the truth would suit them because they want to break you and condition you to accept nothing but a ether, a ocean, a atmosphere, a system, a wavelength of fraud, a war against reality, an overthrow of common sense and the human program. Anyone who looks at the New World Order system, though it claims it's doing everything for civil rights and freedom, can see that it is aimed and targeted at anything wholesome and anything regenerative, anything creative, anything Genesis-based. It is a death arrow, a sword, a weapon, a dart, a salvo, a artillery round fired by the forces of death against the engine of life. It is disease and ugliness and abomination of hundreds of animals spliced together in the human form in sentient clone beings of abject ugliness and pain. And you'll never hear anyone call for their rights. You'll see little bunny rabbit symbols, which I agree with, on the back of shampoo saying, we didn't test on animals. What about Foxconn, suicide, and forced abortion, and Apple, forced abortion, or PepsiCo, and fetus cells in the flavoring, on purpose to denigrate you, on purpose as satanic alchemy, in their own words, to defile your soul. What about the real human rights? Well, they've got us worried about football issues of gay marriage and black and white and all this infighting. They are worldwide. And they say, well, we're allowed to mix humans with chimpanzees and humans with jellyfish and humans with spiders. And don't worry, we kill them before they come to term. But we could keep them past term, which we know they've done. But that's somewhat shielded and classified. It's leaked out in some policy papers, which it shouldn't have. Just like antimatter weapons leaked out. It was in the San Francisco Chronicle and a few other papers a decade ago. Just like meteor guns, DU Shabos leaked 20 years ago. The space fleet they've got, the drone fleet they've had up since the 70s. More than 15 generations of weapon systems up there now. Arrogant globalists in debates against Bob Bowman and others have been tricked on the stage into releasing classified information, is how Bowman's able to talk about that. But the issue here is that you've got humans, human embryos spliced with all these other plants, animals, and insects, and then they say, well, they don't have any human rights because they're not human. You see that little lawyer trick, but then the bunny rabbit has a right. But it doesn't really. See, and the globalists, the transhumanists, the eugenicists said, we will teach them to care about the animals and then misplace their concern for humans onto animals. And by the way, I support those that are against abusing mammals and other highly intelligent sentient beings. If something's a prey animal designed to be eaten, bovine, deer, things like that, you don't kill them out of pleasure, but it's part of the process. But we're removed more and more from our humanity, where we just pull up and eat the hamburger at McDonald's. And that really is a form of corruption. And we all are involved in it. Because to not be involved in the humanity is to lose your humanity. Let me tell you something. You shoot an animal with a bow, you slit its throat to bleed it out so that the meat doesn't spoil, you butcher it yourself, you cook it yourself, you're thinking about that animal while you're eating it. And it's activating synapses and instincts in your mind of the entire human experience. When you don't need to do that to connect to your race memories. You can do it by digging in the dirt. You can do it by planting seeds and then watering plants, and just doing that will open up. And I've never read this. I know this. I'm sure someone's written it, because any truth you've already found self-evident, others as well, activates and literally communicates with your soul. Going through the rituals of combat, going through the rituals of fighting when you're a young man. That's why they want to make it illegal, put you in prison. That unlocks the synapses. That is the rites of passage. That's why the social engineers, and I'm giving you the deepest truths here, want to destroy all the ancient covenants and all the ancient rituals of humanity. It is to break the genetic encoding recordings that are in the DNA from our ancestors. And the chills I feel when I talk about this is losing all of that information. You know, when I cry, sometimes people say it's fake, and it's not, because I can feel the death of the connection to our ancestors and everything that's going to come in the future. It's the end of humanity and a horrible abomination. And I feel all of our ancestors crying out against us, that we awaken and have strength against this, that we rise above the robot class, that we break our chains and transcend the technocracy and take to the stars in our true destiny. We'll be right back as I break down the news and give out the number to take your calls. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.